station. That's what we are here. And we need your support, so we appreciate that. Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. And, of course, we need your continued support on Warchant. Love the venue, love the medium, love my cohorts at Warchant. YouTube is where you're watching. We appreciate that. Pass around the love. And hello, everybody in the chat. How you guys doing in the chat? Everybody good? Everybody of sound mind? P. Simpson, I see 45 days is what you wrote. Doesn't that sound great? It's funny, the chord that's struck, it's different for everybody. Many moons ago, we had that segment on the show in which we said, what sounds better to you? Is it, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? What sounds better to you when you talk about the days, the hours, the months, whatever it may be? But you're right. Right now, we're in the space where, if you think about the actual countdown to college football, it's. I guess technically, at the time we come on the air, thinking about that first kickoff on August 23rd, 44 days and 23 hours. So, if you really want to try to get a little leap ahead, it's 44 days, 23 hours, 51 minutes, and some odd seconds.
Something struck me today. This is different than usual. I have yet to play the college football game.
I haven't played it yet either. I know it's available in hard copy at Corner Pocket. They may have it at the CP. I don't know if Bill is starting to break that out these days. But at Games for Less off of Appalachian Park.
I'd like some steak bites.
And I'm going to play the new college football.
And CFB 26.
Yeah, on this screen right here.
That's it, right there.
We're going to play.
You got it, right? It's in stock.
Yeah, so it's available at Games for Less. My friend George can't wait for you to come in and peruse the record collection that's now there, the vast majority of records that he has, and, of course, all the other games plus college football.
So I'm excited. My nephew's coming to town in a couple of weeks. He'll be here when you're in Charlotte for the ACC kickoff. And he's spending some days. He's interested in the industry, so I'm going to give him a little behind-the-scenes look at some of the things. But for his birthday, which was earlier this month, I said, hang on the gift. He loves vinyl. He's into vinyl right now.
Good.
He's only 16. He loves vinyl.
Good,
I love that.
Good.
17.
Old soul like you.
Yes. And he loves video games. I said, I've got the perfect store. We're going to Games for Less together, Parker. That's where we're going.
And you're visiting the right man.
That's right.
Yeah, there it is. You're all set.
You're going to get a lot of this vacation, my man.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about football, buddy. Thinking a lot about football every day, and I haven't played the new game. I know that many have. I know that the Big 12 Media Days have started. That's right. We're in the place. You just brought up ACC Media Days today. It's, look, man, it's going on. Big 12 Media Days are happening. Did you know, as an aside, we've got to go to Charlotte? Nothing wrong with Charlotte. Shout out to my people in Charlotte. Over the years, I've come around on old Charlotte.
Oh, boy. It sounds like you decided to drive. That's what that sounds like.
No. Well, we'll talk about that later. But I did you know? No, not mad at Charlotte or even Tallahassee Airport, which I'm in perpetuity mad at. No, I didn't realize that the Big 10 Media Days are in Las Vegas. Come on, man. What are we doing out here? It makes zero sense to have Big 10 Media Days in Las Vegas. Other than it's effing awesome.
Yeah, right.
It would be great to go. I mean, if that's the way the Big Ten's going to roll, then, man, if you're the ACC, hey, baby, let's go. This year, it's going to be in Charlotte. How about next year, provided we're still here, and let's hope we're not, but I have a suspicion we will be. Next year, why don't we have it in Chicago? Why don't we have it in New York City? How about Los Angeles? Doesn't really matter. Las Vegas is associated in no way with the Big Ten. If we're just willy-nilly dropping it in kick-ass American cities with lots to do and great cuisine, I'm in. Let's go.
I've always had an affinity for South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Even though they're only members for all sports, not including football, our football kickoff next year, I'm excited to announce, will be in South Bend, Indiana. Commissioner Phillips, does this mean that Notre Dame is joining the league in football? Oh, well, we're into discussions with Notre Dame, and Father O'Malley believes that this is a possibility. But this in no way guarantees Notre Dame will be joining the conference in football.
By the way, your mark, the guy that's the commissioner of the Big 12, doubling down on the 5-11 model, wants that to happen. The other news that came out of the Big 12 meeting starting this week was Scott Frost of UCF saying that he thought, in retrospect, the Nebraska job wasn't a good move. Yeah, after the fact that you, kind of sucked there, I imagine you would say that. That's a toughie. He did get asked about it, and he did say, I really want to keep it about UCF. Really, I wouldn't leave unless it was someplace you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier. Damn. Kind of got a bite a little bit if you're a Nebraska guy and that was your guy. And what he's inferring there is that you can much sooner win a national championship at UCF than you can Nebraska. I would respectfully disagree.
I've never liked Scott Frost.
I could tell.
And I think it's just because he resembles the guy from Breaking Bad so much, the sociopath.
Oh, but the sociopath is a wonderful actor who's in a lot of good things.
He is. But unfortunately, the first thing I ever saw him in, I really hated his guts.
Because he played it so well.
He did. And since Scott Frost looks like that guy, don't like him very much. And you know what? Scott doesn't give me a whole lot of ammunition to rebut that.
Well, he's not always easy with the press. It's not his favorite thing. And he's also it doesn't matter. We don't need to get it. It's not Scott Frost radio. We don't care. Good old Scott. UCF. I don't even really think about UCF, although they've probably been better than we have in recent memory. I'm only thinking about us these days. The emails are starting to ratchet up. I like it. Bring them. It's good. You get a wide array right now because it's list season and everybody is, everybody's got, sort of built up angst. I think it's a built up angst. You can see it. The light's at the end of the tunnel, but you're not quite there. And so you're antsy a little bit.
This is football X-Lax season. We need the X-Lax to do its thing. And then the ball's kicked off, and here we go.
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to think of what I'm most looking forward to. It's certainly not Charlotte. I'll do that.
You're gonna happen by the pub, though, right? Get me a Guinness.
The Irish pub that we both enjoy.
Yeah,
I love it. So dark. It's just wonderfully dark. Screw your technology. We have no televisions here, none. You will sit in that corner, dark as it is, and enjoy your Guinness. Yes, I will. I love it. And at the time that I go typically, or that we've gone in the past, you and I, it's not occupied. There aren't that many people there. It's one of those days where we don't have a lot going on, so we mosey on over maybe just before happy hour and have your pint, and then sometimes you stay late. You never know.
I think, in our eventual venture together, which we have kind of semi-seriously talked about.
Yeah, for the Tavern.
Which is the Tavern, yes, that has a couple of arcade games here or there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
There could be an extra room that, it's got about 4 chairs in it, but it's a dark corner of the establishment, and we put an Irish name over it, like the McGinty, and there it is. It's the Guinness room. That's where you go if you just want a pint and you don't want to be bothered. It's kind of the code in there. Is you can walk in there with a friend and have a conversation, but we're keeping our voices low, and this is just for people to take a breather in the McGinty.
Yeah, in Ireland they call that a snug. You could go into the snug.
Yeah. But I mean, for us, a proper bar.
Yeah. Oh,
like the snug looks like a glorified, I don't know, like a phone booth, a little bit larger than a phone booth.
I do love the snug though.
Yeah.
It's you're gonna sit, you're gonna see each other's expressions, you're gonna have a conversation. It's gonna be a real back and forth. It's going to be isolated away from everybody else. It's great.
We could have a snug, but I really
want. But you want to call it the McGinty?
Just a corner of the bar. I mean, just 3 or 4 bar stools, and it's like it is understood in there that's where if you just want to be anonymous for a little while, you coming from a loud house, you ran out to go get takeout food, and you just need 10, 15 minutes of peace and quiet. I'm gonna go to the McGinty. I'm gonna have a Guinness.
So I saw today where Jeremiah Wilson is in the top 40. He's number 7 in the Warchant top 40. I'm not trying to draw your attention necessarily to the Warchant top 40. That is an off-season exercise. We've been doing it for a very long time. Gene originated it. I've been a part of it since its inception. It can be difficult to do. Some years are a little bit easier than others when you sit down and realize that you've got an overabundance of talent, other years a dearth of talent, and you're left kind of wondering which guys you're going to take. But you saw my guy is number 7. And I think Jeremiah is going to help us greatly. And what an assignment he's going to have day one. I mean, that is all right, man. You came here to get it on, and right off the bat, I would guess that it's he and Ryan Williams.
Yeah, I would think so, with a little bit of safety help over the top.
Think about that. I mean, really, honestly, this is how I bring it back. It's not about the top 40. It's about matchups where you talk about players and where you excel, where you're weak, where you're concerned, where you have really a lack of evidence and you don't know. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of limbo that we have about this team because we just don't know how they're going to play together, how the scheme's going to play out, where they're going to be defensively on the field. But in the case of your number one corner, you're going against their number one receiver, one would think. This one seems to be an easy matchup to figure out. It is going to be, I would guess, like you said, a little bit of help probably because Ryan Williams is a special talent, a freakish talent. Let's put it that way.
Well, and then you're also going to find out with Tony White defensively because he's multiple, and the guys have talked a lot about, after spring camp, eyes on the football, eyes around on the quarterback. How much zone do you run? In a situation where you have one specific game breaker, do you put your best corner on him and shadow him across the field, to the field side, to the boundary side? Do you play man-to-man and have an extra set of eyes over the top? Or is it straight zone and where Jeremiah Wilson lines up is where he's going to line up no matter who is across from him, and you're going to play your scheme and you're going to trust your scheme? These are all fair questions. With Adam Fuller, it was best corner is going to line up against him. Probably going to follow him across the field. Not always, but probably going to follow him to different places.
Yeah.
And then you get up, you jam, and you play man's football.
That's the way it was, right?
Now, we'll see. We'll see. It could be that he has special circumstances for game breakers.
Well, yeah, I'm worried about that young man. Again, it worries me that Ryan Williams, who is set to go off, they got another good receiver too. Oh, well, they have. I mean, it's Alabama. Obviously, they've got weapons. But I'm most worried about him. Just seeing the dynamic athleticism to get that full year under your belt when you're 17 years old, who have played in a game as high profile as the one he did against Georgia and make that play. You just know that that's going to be a rapid fire progression for him. I don't know how much bigger he's gotten, but the twitchiness was the concern. It was freakish, and the overall level of athleticism was freakish. You could cover him well, and he makes plays. He's a freak. He's one of your classic 5-star kinds of kids that go to a program like that. And you're like, well, that's why they are what they are. That's just different. And so, yeah, how Florida State's going to handle him is going to be of the utmost importance because he's a playmaker.
Well, and you could play zone and still reroute him off the line as you sit into wherever you're going to go if you're Jeremiah Wilson, and that could be into the flat. It could be into something else based upon whatever the call is from Tony White. But I would imagine, regardless if we're playing man-to-man or we're playing zone, if you can get your hands on him, he's really quick, but if you can get your hands on him at the snap to at least delay that release and not allow him to go run free, that would probably be in your best interest.
It's interesting because we're just talking in grand generalities here, and it's way too early to get into game plans. We've got to see how this group meshes here in the fall, and we've got some additions to this group that arrived in the fall, some of which you expect to play, some you don't, some may surprise you. So we got a long way to go, and I'll be interested once camp gets going to see what changes are kind of made to what they're doing offensively and defensively for that matter. There are some kids that have arrived on both sides of the ball that have a chance to play. But that said, my number one concern coming into this season because of a lack of depth and overall size up front is the run game. I'm worried about this defense against the run more than I am the pass. Or if I had to pick an area to really hyper-focus on making sure we're sound, it would be against the run. And I'll take my chances in the passing game. Partly because, like in the case of Alabama, you've got a new starting quarterback on the road playing meaningful snaps for the first time in his career if Ty Simpson starts. That's true, right? We don't know how he's going to react. We don't know how he'll play. Physical tools are there. He wouldn't have been recruited the way he was by some of the upper echelon of college football, but we haven't really seen him do anything yet. But we know Alabama comes in with an elite offensive line. They're always plus at running back every year. There's, the seasons change, but that doesn't, right? It's like when you watch a Georgia team, you're like, oh, look at that. They're good at running back. Pretty much always good at running back, right? So I would suspect, again, that initially Alabama wants to come out and bludgeon Florida State and see how tough we are, because this is a big thing and a big talking point, and it was a truism of a year ago. And that was that not only did they not play hard, which was the most damning indictment of the team, but they were weak. They were soft. They were very, very soft. And boy, it's tough to shake a reputation of being soft. And I would think any coach, now you have a chance to end that reputation very quickly. In game one, you get this opportunity, as Mike Norvell would say, and he's right, to put an end to that discussion, to put an end to the talk of being soft, to show up, to arrive at the football with evil intentions and en masse. Tony White's talked about doing that very thing, that his defenses do this. They swarm to the football at all times. Go watch some of the videos of him speaking to the team. I love it. It's inspiring. I get excited to listen to him talk to his defensive players about the ball. Find the ball. Swarm to the ball. I mean, that's the object of the game. I mean, if we're going to really oversimplify things, you got to get the ball carrier to the ground, whether that's a receiver or a running back, and you should do so with a little what for. I mean, it's more than just noted. It's emphasized. There's a lot of other aspects to all of this, of course, but okay, right off the bat, I would think Alabama behind a massive offensive line, 3 of whom are projected to go as early as the first 2 rounds of the draft. You're going to run downhill and see, let's see how tough they are. They weren't tough last year, and if we can establish the run, it really makes everything else so easy for a quarterback that's making his first start on the road.
Yeah, I would think, given the circumstance with the quarterback, that would be your first goal, make the game easy on him. Let's make it easy on our quarterback. It's not we're hosting an FCS team or a low-level FBS team at home. We are playing a team that we don't know what they are. Last year, they were a low-level FBS team, about as low as it gets. But we're playing them in their building. They've got new coordinators, new schemes, and their defense is about confusion. Like I would think in this situation, if Adam Fuller was still the defensive coordinator.
Thankfully, he's not.
As you're coaching your quarterback, you'd say, well, you know what they're going to do. So here, I mean, they might call a weird blitz here and there. But other than that, when you line up and they line up, there's no tricks. It's man-to-man.
That was last year, yes.
So it's easier for a quarterback making a first start or an early in his career appearance, whatever it is. I don't know if this is officially his first game. It's easy in that situation. And this one, Tony is good. It's like when Jameis faced, what's his name, LeBeau, in his first game in the NFL.
Dick LeBeau, who promptly schemed up a pick six.
Oh, correct. One of the most
predictable, yes.
Unpredictable minds.
No, but I'm saying
outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the most unpredictable minds in defensive football is Dick LeBeau, like of all time.
Yeah, he was great. He's Hall of Famer, yeah.
Marcus Mariota played Jameis Winston in that game. He went against a defense that you understood what they were going to do pre-snap. That was Lovie Smith's cover 2. So you knew what the rules were before the snap. If you were one quarterback, if you're the other quarterback, it's I don't know what's coming. So to your point, in this situation, Alabama's quarterback is going to be in a place of I don't know necessarily what they're going to do. And I would think you try to run the ball. But this is where I do have more hope in us being able to stop the run, because Tony White will throw bodies at the problem, and he'll throw them from all different angles. Now, sometimes you call something into the teeth of exactly what Alabama wants you to, and if you're multiple on defense, they call something perfectly, opposite of what you just dialed up pressure-wise, and it's an explosive play. That's going to happen more this year. We're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
We called a blitz up the middle, and they had a flare out to the son of a. And our safety didn't get there in time in the one-on-one. Whereas with Adam Fuller, it was just kind of like either you get beat or you don't. This is going to be about timing. And
for that reason, I think there'll be high-scoring games.
Marcus Freeman's the same way. When we were watching Memphis versus Cincinnati clips of Marcus Freeman against Mike Norvell, and we were preparing for the Notre Dame games against Brian Kelly. Mm-hmm. This is not last year. I'm talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
You saw that timing of the call mattered as much as the call itself did. I think that's what Alabama and Florida State, that's the kind of dance they're going to be doing in the opening game.
It's cool that it's not that far away now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the next few weeks is going to be watching, going back and looking at games where there is a static element to a team. Like what they were last year is what they'll be this year. This player's back. This coordinator's back. This is the system they run. They're not deviating. I'm going to go back and look at a lot of that for the opponents that we have throughout the course of this year, just before going to Charlotte, to see kinds of conversations that I'm going to have with coaches and coordinators, and then also players. I'm very curious to see like what I think we match up well with, what we don't, what kind of adjustments we'll have to make based on that. And then there's so much newness every year. That's part of it. I mean, with the transfer portal being what it is, there's just so much newness, but it does the heart good to go back and kind of get that baseline knowledge of, well, this is what they are. This is what they want to do. This is what they play to. Here's what we're allegedly going to be, but I don't know yet because of personnel and why we talk about the fall camp. Which of the newcomers that are going to come in are going to play a role? Some of them might actually play a big role. Like in theory, offensively, you certainly could bet that Croma plays a lot. I mean, if he is, because of the size, at 6'1", 215 walking into camp, well, that's the size of a junior starter at running back. I mean, that's a guy who plays out a career in the NFL. I mean, you get guys that are 6'1", 215, 220 at running back. It happens all the time. So he's already got a lot of that thickness and man weight. If he's got a lot of special and can adjust to that speed of the game, and his body can endure, it's a world of difference getting hit by folks from Alabama than it is from high school kids you were just playing. But I don't know how much he's going to play, but I know what they had to pay up for. They're going to want to get him in the games early and often.
Yeah, ROI if you can help it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one thing about spring camp was that we heard beyond the scrimmages, they did go to the ground a little bit more.
Oh, they definitely did. And yeah.
It would be very important to do that for Croma, to get him up to speed, literally, to understand about the speed of the game. Because if he can assimilate that information quickly, his instincts to make guys miss is already elite from the level he's coming from.
Toughness is born from hitting in practice. It's how much you're willing to endure and how much are you willing to deviate, I think, from what has become a new standard, a new norm, with coaches not wanting to hit as much and fearing injury. I think that backfired for Mike Norvell a year ago. I think that it's worked at times, depending on the kind of personnel you have, what level of experience they have, how many transfers you have, how many upperclassmen you have. But the bottom line is I really would try to establish and ingrain a toughness that was centered around really physical practices. I'm not talking about every single day of the week. Obviously, there's a dialing back period, especially as you get closer to the start of the season. But I would just firmly establish and throw caution to the wind by hitting a lot in the early days of pads. Understanding you might get some guys banged up, but you know what you're doing? You're readying the guys behind them because they're hitting too. I mean, this is a very physical game. It's always been that way. It's always been a war of attrition. There's always the chance that you're going to lose a vital cog to what you're trying to do. But, it's football. I just think you ingrain it, and that's how you play the game, and that's how you end up playing that way on Saturdays, is because of how physical you are on Tuesday. How hard are you hitting then? And I just wouldn't let up from that. And it doesn't sound like, from Tony White's comments when we interviewed him, when he first got here, the things he stated publicly, any of his YouTube videos that you can watch where he's teaching, coaching, talking about the 3-3-5, talking about what he's instilling with his players. Doesn't sound like he disagrees. Sounds like he's a guy who understands that you can't be tough unless you are tough. The only way you're tough is to hit and practice. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Custom with your window coverings with help from Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Budget Blinds brings their showroom to your home with dozens of color and pattern choices. Just tell them what you love and they'll make it happen. From designing custom draperies and Roman shades to color matching your blinds and shutters.
I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds Tallahassee, where you get beautiful style and expert service for any budget. Call 668-4835 for a free consultation online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
Attention all sandwich lovers. Café de Martín is bringing Peruvian fire to your lunch break with their all-new summer sandwich combos. Asado that melts in your mouth. Fried fish so fresh and crispy, it snaps. And smoked pork or chicken? Yes, please. Comboed with Peruvian fries and an iced tea for just $15. Available Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 3. Upgrade your lunch at Café de Martín in the Esposito Shopping Center. Online at cafedemartin.com.
AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722.
Is your home ready for anything? At Parker Services AC and Electrical, we do more than just keep you cool. We keep your whole home running smoothly. From AC maintenance and duct cleanings to whole home generator installations, we've got everything you need for comfort and reliability. Join our Peak Performance membership to keep your HVAC system in top shape and catch issues before they turn into costly repairs. And with a reliable generator, you'll never be left in the dark again. Call Parker Services today, where comfort is just a call away. Water license number CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
This week's Legacy Moment brought to you by Cornerstone Memorials remembers Officer Miguel Santiago, a beloved member of the Tallahassee Police Department. Known for mentoring teens and walking neighborhood beats with purpose and pride, Officer Santiago believed policing was about presence, not power. After his sudden passing in 2022, hundreds attended his vigil. His dedication lives on in the Explorer program he helped launch for local youth. We salute Officer Santiago, a true hometown hero. This has been a Legacy Moment, honoring the lives that shaped Tallahassee. Sponsored by Cornerstone Memorial, helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and care. Find out more online at cornerstonememorials.org. Do you know of a Tallahassee legacy that should be shared? Text the word legacy to 850-386-8255 to submit your story for the Cornerstone Memorial's Legacy Moment.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I am kind of curious to see what the newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium looks like. I know a lot of people that are listening to this saw the most recent email that went out introducing the Knoll Pass. For those that don't know of which I speak, if you're a season ticket holder or booster, you saw, or booster in particular, you saw FSU release an email introducing the Knoll Pass, a new pass for a new Doak is how it reads. I'll tell you why I'm telling you this in a second. Our brand new Knoll Pass provides a new way for you to experience the recently renovated Doak Campbell Stadium. With the Knoll Pass, your seats will rotate based on availability for each game. That means you might be in a bleacher seat one week and our newly renovated chairback seating the next. You'll get your seat assignment the week of the game delivered straight to your phone. It's the ultimate way to stay in the action and keep things exciting all season long. The Knoll Pass is $650 per seat for the season and provides access to all 7 home games, including our home game opener against Alabama. Once you've purchased your Knoll Pass for the season, Tom, no additional action is required. Your seats will be assigned based on availability each week, and they will be assigned for you automatically. Where will my seats be with Knoll Pass, one might ask? It will vary for each home game based on availability. One week, you may be seated in the east side bleachers. Next week, in our brand new chairback seating. Well, I bring this up because they still haven't been able to sell anywhere close to the necessary numbers to sell out Westback chair seats. They're at less than 45% sold for that. They have sold out or nearly sold out the Champions Club, but it's not completely sold out. Last I saw, it was around 86% sold out. The West Sideline is sold out. Founders Loge boxes are not sold out. Still 3 more of those boxes available, Tom, unless you want. If you want to jump on that today with me, we'll go in together.
Yeah, sure.
We'll just watch it from up there. And the Founders suites are sold out. Well, that's good to know. So, it's a little problematic. 43% for that West chairback seating is.
Well, it sounds like if you did the Knoll Pass, if you were smart and you just waited, what's the Knoll Pass cost?
$650.
Okay. I'm sure that there was, for your father and others, a one-time capital gift, right? Is that how they term it, or is that my religious taste code? Okay, you term it a capital gift. There's a one-time offering of sorts, and then you get to pay your season tickets, right? Isn't that the way that they did it?
I'm sure.
So it's like $1,500 or more, depending upon. There you go, one-time
for
gift.
The opportunity. Yeah,
like a PSL. That's not a PSL at all,
right?
Plus the season ticket cost. So you could have dropped whatever that is.
A lot.
Yeah.
There are many people who are perturbed by this, yes.
Right. So $650, you could still get a West chairback seat for many games.
Now imagine how that makes a lot of people feel who did pony up early on and answer the call. That might piss somebody off.
Probably so. Although, as I understand it, this week is when single game tickets go on sale. So you can get, I'm sure boosters that didn't buy season tickets would get the West chairbacks first before the Knoll Pass would, if they have booster status to go with it.
I bring this up as something to keep an eye on, not to go on a rant or to say much more than whatever I just said, which is the presentation of the email. We'll monitor this. Take a look at it next week and the week after that, because as you correctly stated, they're just now getting around to those. Game
although I would think actually you'd prioritize this because they're giving you a full season's worth of money. So I wonder if you decided to roll the dice. This is a hypothetical out there. I wonder if you decided to roll the dice, not renew, not take up the offer that was given to you on those booster web calls and whatever, and the phone calls you got, the tours, and you said, I'll bet there will still be some tickets on the other side of this whole thing. And you waited. And you paid the $650. I wonder how many games out of, we got 7 this year?
Mm-hmm.
How many games out of 7 you'll be on the West Side in the shade with a chairback? I wonder. 4 or 5?
Believe me, there'll be very frustrated folks if that happens.
It won't always be the same seat. I get that. I understand that. But I wonder how many times you'd be in the shade versus how many times you're going to die in the sun.
Well, you're trying to project when you make these renovations, and you're trying to figure out what you can sell, what you can't sell, what you think the numbers are going to look like. And, I got to imagine that there's some successes in all of this they're excited about, and there's some things that they're growing concerned about. 43% sold of the West chairback seats would be a growing concern.
That would be. It'd also be you getting told to go to hell after 2 and 10. Because I'm
2 and 10 affects a lot of things, including ticket sales. Yes,
the top line income you're collecting from the Founders Suites and the Loge and the Sideline Club, the West Club, in addition to now, like it used to be that you had the suites that were up in the skyboxes and you had the Champions Club, and like that was it for premium seating.
Right.
Now you've got however many other categories. I know that they've said like 12 levels of luxury. You've got 3 or 4 of those levels sold out. So their top line income is probably doing exactly what they hoped it would. But these other funnels are lagging behind, which is what 2 and 10 would do. I bet if they went 8 and 4, 9 and 4, 9 and 3, that might be at 60%, 65% sold, 70%.
Yeah, my only concern is that you would like to believe you'd be somewhere near 50% in some of these areas for the Bama game. I mean, it's the Bama game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Bama's going to snatch them up.
That I believe that will be rectified with the single game sales going on this week, and something as wonderful as the Knoll Pass. I'm sure that those two things combined probably get that number up. But right now, they were only, if I'm listening to what you're saying correctly, they were only open to season ticket sales to Philip Doak until now.
I believe that to be correct. Access to all 7 home games, including the home opener, could be in the bleachers one day and chairback the next. $650. Actually, not a terrible deal at all. It's just an interesting thing that they've had to do. They've had to go to. I don't think they wanted to do this, is my point.
I come from a different generation when it comes to going to football games in person. versus watching them on television or even sporting events in general. I love the season tickets I had as a kid, but I feel like, especially in a circumstance of an NFL season or a college football season, cherry picking too, going on the secondary market and getting the exact seats you want is
You're
the way
of
to be.
the age, and also, as you correctly note, the assignment that you have every Saturday is very different than the average fan. You have to watch these games not only with a critical eye, but one geared towards talking points immediately following the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be answering questions from people immediately following the game. It's very different, obviously, for people who don't work in sports media, don't cover a team. They may look at the attendance thing very differently. You don't look at it as something that's all that inviting because of what you have to do.
Well,
and also it's 105 degrees in Florida.
And people, I like my people. I don't know that I like people. There's a certain group. Like, for example, perfect example. You go to Indigo on a Saturday before the game. There's a collection of about maybe a couple dozen folks that we see routinely throughout the course of a season.
It's always great. Can't wait to see them again.
They're awesome. And then there's a collection of maybe another 3, 4, 5 dozen that you see intermittently, and they're all awesome. And generally, people that come there are great anyway.
Wonderful supporters, good people, diehard Noles.
You're super Noles, right? And you want the view, and you kick back, and you relax.
And
That's wonderful.
And the conversation's awesome, the beverages, the whole deal, yeah.
Then you go to the stadium, and it feels like none of them are there. Just all these people, like,
bouncing
all over each other,
yeah.
Yelling F-bombs and saying this and that, and taunting other fans, and borderline getting into a fight.
It's weird.
And it's like, damn, man.
I've had the wonderful opportunity to do the whole only press thing for years on end, where I was in the box. Most people know I would walk up to the roof because I like that view. It's the film view, and you can really watch plays begin and end and develop in certain ways that allow you to extract more knowledge in the moment with that view. But I've also had the good fortune over time, even within the job, to not do that and like maybe pick 3 or 4 games where I'm in the box or on the roof, but then the rest of them be with my father. And obviously I choose a lot of the times to try to do it with my dad if possible, because he's old and it's just cool. Plus he takes his grandsons, my sons, to the game. And yeah, it's a mixed bag, but I will tell you, there is nothing like, okay, I'll give you the example, the 4th and 14 against Miami.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
There is no topping, not the roof, not the press box, not your living room, not a bar. There is no topping being in attendance for that play, that moment, that obviously success story, and the energy that runs through the course of that stadium, through the veins of the people that are there, and the euphoria that hits like a wave. It's unlike anything else. It's what franchises in the NFL, it's what programs in college football pitch. We've seen Florida State pitch it specifically.
Doak HD.
Yeah. They're not wrong about that. The problem is the ratio of times that happens matters to you more as you get older. You need more of those moments to make it worth it to you. But when you're young, you don't. It's a party. It's a thing to be at, and you're more tolerant of sloppy drunks. You're more tolerant of absurdities. You're more tolerant of whatever it might be that we're complaining about as we get older, right? You can deal with, I don't know, when you're 20, I think it's easier to deal with the heat than it's when you're 50.
Sure.
It just is.
Yeah.
So lots of things grate on you as you get older when you go to games that didn't used to when you were 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. But yeah, and you're weighing that, you're constantly weighing that as you get older. Like, I really would want to be in attendance for the big win against Miami. I really would want to be in the stands for the big win against Florida. I really would want to be in attendance for the game against Alabama. If we pull the upset, it'll be unlike anything else. It'll be great. But then you're like, these other ones.
Yeah, I had occasion for the Saturday night Florida State UF game a couple of years ago to be there for the first half. And I had the boogie for the
for the post-game
show. And that was one where we had 3 or 4 drops in the first half, and Jordan had to put the team on his back.
And he did.
And there was an early Trey Benson touchdown running towards the student side of the field, where I'll have a moment I'll never forget. because there was a guy a couple rows in front of me. As he gets the corner, the guy goes, "Phew, that's a touchdown!" And like trays at maybe the 15-yard line.
He knows.
And he's slapping high fives. He's not even watching. He's slapping high fives.
See, that's cool. Like, things like that make you crack up, man.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
My friends at Tried and True Consulting, they're a payments and business solutions company owned by fellow Knowles and good ones at that. Love Don, love Joe. Rusty's new to the team, but kicking ass as well. They give 10% back to the Battle's End. We certainly know we need that. So all their net revenue, 10% of it going to the Battle's End, still doing what they can to help this program get back on its feet, get back to dominating in college football, get back to being the program that we're excited about. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now, or give Joe and Don, Florida State alumnus, a call today. I certainly think you should. I mean, these are guys that have been doing a lot of cool things in the community, and I'm proud of them for it. And I love being associated with them here on the show. Easy way to remember the number, 844-I'm-4-Knoll. 844-I'm-4-Knoll. They'll save you money. It's secure. They make your business better, and they make you happy that you're doing business with Tried and True Consulting.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance of thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 92. Southwesterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Chance for storms, lows around 75. Thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 93, mainly cloudy. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 87 degrees.
See Nice Tire and Auto Service at 4792 Bluntstown Highway today. The ASC trained technicians at Nice take the guesswork out of fixing your car. That's why wherever you see the Goodyear sign, you'll find what you want in tires and service. From preventative maintenance to a major overhaul and everything in between, you name it. Plus, Nice's services are backed by a nationwide limited warranty. Stop by Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
No matter what the skies throw at you, full service from top to bottom for gutter repairs, gutter installs, leaf and debris guards, drainage fixes. We handle it all. Don't wait for the next big storm to find out you've got a problem. Call locally owned New Vision Gutters today. We keep our minds in the gutters, so you don't have to. Online at newvisiongutters.com.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
That's my fault, everybody. It helps when you have your headset plugged in and you can hear the station.
That's all right. I was late back from break. For some reason, I thought it was the 4-minute jobber. I shouldn't think that because, we're 10 minutes from the top of the hour. So,
well, I blow through breaks and don't adhere to the schedule as often as anybody in radio. So it can happen, buddy. You can throw that back at me.
Well, I heard the Gordos, the jingle at the end, the music, and I thought, well, that's strange that it's in this break. It's usually in the second. Oh, that's dead air.
Eddie and I are meeting tomorrow for new Gordos ads. I know many of you will welcome that. I'm looking forward to producing and making those with him. I will tell you something else I'm looking forward to for you guys. In the third hour of today's show, I want to preview it here, get it out there now so that you don't meander about that bonus hour. Sometimes some of you stay, sometimes you don't, because most of the time, a lot of the time anyhow, it can be pre-recorded, especially this time of year. That said, this time around it's for an interview, and a lengthy one and a very good one. It's with David Hale, ESPN.com's David Hale, who joins us in the third hour of the show for the bulk of the hour. Like 40 minutes or 38 minutes of the hour is, in fact, me and David talking college football, the ACC, and Florida State.
That is to be expected. There has never been a 10-minute David Hale interview. It is meant for long form.
It is, and we like going back and forth on that. We like having the conversation. I like one of the things I like doing is just picking his brain a little bit about or getting a sample from the rest of the league, because, his task is to cover the ACC in its entirety for ESPN. And that gives him opportunities to talk to coaches and, in other media around the league. And I want to parlay that into what is the perception of, take it or leave it, where Florida State's at right now. What's the world making of Florida State? I think we're having a hard enough time, those of us in the fan base, those of us who cover the team, those of us who follow this on a daily basis, trying to make something of Florida State. I don't know that we're always entirely sure of what to make of Florida State. So good times for us to sit back and talk. And we did just the other day. We did this interview on Monday, and it went swimmingly as I knew it would. So you're going to want to be here for that. That is in the third hour of the show. Short segment here. Don't really know where I want to go other than to say that, I see you.
Oh, I got something for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are slowly stepping towards the new and brave world of baseball umpiring. The All-Star game will have the challenge system.
I was going to bring it up for you specifically.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I knew how excited you would be after watching the Phillies and the Giants, not last night, which, by the way, if you were watching that last night, holy moly, did you see that? A walk-off inside the park?
No. What I saw was that Schwarber helped the Phillies take the lead 3-1 before I laid down.
Drifted off.
A extra innings victory for the Mets. I decided, all right, well, we're not going to catch the Phillies tonight. Then I checked the standings, and I saw that we were tied. I said, well, how the hell did that happen?
Pretty cool how it happened. They chipped the bricks.
All right.
Yeah, when you hit a ball to the deepest part of Oracle, used to be Pac Bell. I think I will always call it Pac Bell. Anyhow, when you hit it to the deepest part of the park there, I mean, that corner that juts out, that goes all the way, you got to hit it like 440 to get it out in that one part. This guy pummeled a baseball and would have been out of any park in the world except for that one in that crevice. And he realized it, fortunately. So with two guys on, they're down 2. That ball is launched. He stands and looks at it because he clearly got it, and then realized, oh, I'm here, and guns it. And it's a good thing he did, and it ricochets off the bricks, and they got unlucky in Philadelphia. That ball shot dead left past the 2 pursuing outfielders and just rolled along the track.
Oh, nice.
And it's like you can see them running to get the ball, knowing, oh, we got a problem. And then meanwhile, the camera's panning back, and your boy, who's not terribly speedy, he's hauling ass, knowing he's got a chance. And you can watch both dugouts. It was really cool.
That's much like the end of a horse race.
Yes.
You know?
And down the stretch they come.
That's what it is. He's rounding third. He's going to try to score.
It was good. You could see, it played out like that. It woke me up. I had the game on, and I had drifted off as they were going to the 9th. I try to watch baseball as I go to sleep, not because it's boring, but because I find it comforting. Play-by-play, there are certain broadcast booths that are so good, and I really, really miss Vin Scully. I hate the Dodgers, but I would listen to Vin Scully all the time. West Coast, first of all, going to bed, listen to Vin telling stories. It's like Grandpa. And I would hear him tell stories about players, and I would be like, this is nice. Because he would just have that sing-songy way of weaving in and out of ball 2, and there's a foul ball, we're 2-1, and so anyhow, and then he would get into the rest of that story, and I always love that. And there are broadcast teams that are very, very good. San Francisco is one of them, and so they're West Coast a lot, obviously, and I listened to that, and I fell asleep right as the ninth was starting, and then I heard the commotion because my timer hadn't gone off yet. I was, what is happening? And I saw the rounding of the base. Oh! And then I turned it off, and Christy goes, thank you. What is all that yelling?
That's Dwayne Piper
and they're both good.
They're very good.
And all I said was to her, I was like, crazy walk-off home run, 3-runner to win it. It was nuts. She's like, And off to sleep we went. That's the excitement of the Cameron household there, that little recapping of two teams we don't even care about.
Yeah. I'm happy that we got the ABS system to start this, but eventually we're going to agree that we'll accept all of the correct answers, right?
Yeah, not just half of them.
Because home plate umpiring has gotten shaky.
Ooh-hoo-hoo.
More so than the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, they're getting up there. Some of those guys are like 67 years old trying to do this job. I'm like, come on, man. It's hard enough for a 27-year-old to do this job. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
Here's the cold, hard truth. Your body needs more than you're giving it to stay healthy. And now it's easier than ever with Vigor, the all-new cold plunge tub from Hot Spring Spas. Available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Cold plunges reduce muscle soreness, boost mood, improve sleep, and so much more. It's not just a trend, it's science-backed wellness. And now you can have it in your own home. Ready to feel alive again? Pinch a Penny has the exclusive home use solution. Visit us on Capitol Circle Northeast and take the plunge. Now that it's warm outside, your fireplace is probably the last thing on your mind. But smart homeowners know summer is the best time to get chimney work done. J. Walker Enterprises handles chimney inspections, repairs, waterproofing, custom caps, and so much more. Beat the busy season and be fire safe before it gets cold. Visit jwalkerenterprises.com and book your off-season service today.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Knowles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
Florida football adding to their 2026 recruiting class. Four-star linebacker Malik Morris has committed to the program. He comes out of Lakeland, Florida. He took official visits to Miami and Texas A&M. He had an offer sheet that went about 32 schools long. He is considered number 12 at his position nationally for 2026 and the number 202 overall player. That's according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. The Tampa Bay Rays, they lose to the Tigers yesterday by a 4-2 score. Series going to conclude this afternoon. Zach Patel on the mound for the Rays. Marlins all over the Reds 12-2 yesterday. That series continues today. Sandy Alcantara starting for the Fish. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort. Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort? Yes. Comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort. Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh... Wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Yeah, we told you. Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Look, I say a lot of dumb stuff. I try to keep it in front of large groups. Seems to go better that way.
Nate Bargatze, Big Dumb Eyes World Tour, Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, July 20th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good. Get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right. Get a new roof, got to get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller, Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. That's MillerSeptic.com.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
watching and or listening to the program. Always appreciate it. Next hour, David Hale, ESPN.com, going to join us for the bulk of that hour. Looking forward to it. Hey, so the other day when you and I were talking about, I believe it was the rankings, all 136 teams, and we were kind of talking, I think it was Phil Steele. That's what it was. And as we were doing so, I told you that he had us 36th, and I think you viewed that as a win. Like, well, I'm surprised we're that high. I think that's what you said, somewhere in that area.
I'm surprised that a national mind doesn't put us into more of a prove-it mode. But what I said was, if anybody would, it'd be Phil Steele, because Phil Steele has been a big FSU fan over the years.
What I thought was interesting was that there are several teams that we're behind that I went, Phil, what are you doing? And then there are several teams we're ahead that I went, Phil, no. No, it's the classic sort of, I think I won the bargain here for the car, and the other guy walks in, I think I got that guy. We did well. Everybody thinks they won. I think that's what Phil's top 136 was, where we're at 36. I'm like, Phil, we're not going to be worse than Pitt. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. We're not going to be worse than, I guess, Arkansas. We're not. But then, because he has us behind both. But then I'm like, well, Phil, I mean, where's the evidence that we are definitely better than Georgia Tech, according to your list? Where's the evidence that, including the head-to-head from a year ago, where's the evidence? And you go down and you start looking at that, and it just made me laugh. So my question to the chat, just out of curiosity, an unscientific poll that I rarely take, but I am kind of curious because when I ruminated on it ever so briefly this morning, I thought, well, I know where I stand on this. I'm curious where everybody else stands. Will Florida State, more importantly, at season's end, in a poll much similar to this, be ranked higher than 36th?
So that would be 11th in the others receiving votes, because you can actually track that.
You can actually track that. That's why I'm asking it. Will Florida State be better than where Phil, and it's just Phil Steele. I mean, you can take it or leave it. It's whatever. Everybody's got an opinion on where somebody's going to be. It's preseason, whole new roster. A lot of teams have had a lot of people come and go. It's getting harder and harder anymore in an era where mass free agency exists and it's truly free. You have a harder time really pinning anybody down. Got it. Just kind of curious where your head's at, because I said yesterday on Headlines, and I questioned whether or not the fellas, I hope they didn't take offense to it, I questioned whether or not they would come to the table and say on a show like ours whether or not they thought Florida State was going to suck. If they did, if they thought Florida State was going to suck, would they say it? Would they say it on this show? Would they write it on Warchant? Would they talk about it as guests on the Jeff Cameron show? Would they come to the table and say, I think Florida State's going to suck this year? And Corey said, well, if they hadn't made any changes, of course I wouldn't be sitting here optimistic. I'd tell you that I think if they just run it back, there's no way I would be optimistic. There's no way I'd be telling you everything was going to be okay. There's no way I'd be saying that. I'm like, all right. I just wonder if you would, even if you were lukewarm on the team. Because, look, it stands to reason, and Ira pointed out correctly, I think, hey, I'm an internal optimist. I like to be optimistic. My dad's this way. When my dad and I have these brutally honest conversations about football, I talked to my dad yesterday morning. Called me bright and early, knew I'd be up. We were sitting there having coffee, talking football. We talked for over an hour. And I was tempted to come in and tell you that's the first one. That's the check mark. That's part of the list.
That is part of it.
Dad and I always have the big Florida State football conversation. It usually careens into the state of college football and the good and the bad of the sport and where we think other teams from other conferences are going to land and, a lot of other things. It has tentacles. And it very well should have checked the box as the preseason conversation because it went an hour and 12 minutes. Looked at my phone afterwards. But it started as a simple call. Hey, son, I know soon you'll be in Charlotte. Was thinking about you this morning. Wanted to see how you and the family were doing. And what do you think? What do you think as we're getting closer about where Florida State's going to be? And if my dad and I get into a conversation and I start pointing out some of the negatives and concerns that I have, if I delve too long in that realm, if I stay there too long, he has a habit of immediately pulling me back up and going, oh, hold on. And he, again, veers towards optimism. So does Ira. I think Ira does. I think he's naturally that way. He's naturally optimistic. So when he says, I'm naturally optimistic, I probably would be thinking that they would be much better and that they would make some adjustments and all of that. I'm curious what the audience thinks. I'd like to get, I can't do it for everybody that's on the message boards, I don't suppose, but I am kind of curious.
Yeah, I think in terms of the dynamics of this show, there's no doubt that I'm the more optimistic of the two of us, but I'd say that we're pretty blunt. Like, to me,
we are, yeah.
I'm of the two of us, I think I tend to be more pie in the sky or hopeful, because what's going to happen is what's going to happen. So you might as well be hopeful. But if you're just asking me to assess what this team can be, I think combustible is a term that I'd use. And I don't necessarily mean that in a good way. You're coming off a season in which you had real problems behind the scenes that only, I think, presented themselves and were only made known after you lost in Dublin and after you started flat against Boston College. I think that look that we point back to of Mike Norvell's face in the second quarter of that game is him realizing just how bad things were. He didn't believe that they were that bad, and it was washing over him in a moment of a 7-0 football game of, oh my God, this isn't just we're slumping. This is like this is this other thing.
Yeah, this is we're not close and I've got real problems.
Right. And so to me, the combustible part about this season is whether or not you take Bill O'Brien's side or Tommy Castellano's side from Boston College, you got a guy who left the program and wasn't kind about the place that he was just at in terms of assessing his teammates in the middle of the offseason for no reason, leading a group, leading a program that's coming off of ringing defeats and a stink in the building that they're all trying to wash away. And they've got a lot of new bodies that are ignorant to it. I just said this the other day. There are a lot of guys that are ignorant to 2 and 10, so they don't feel those pressures. But if that's still present in any way and it doesn't start great, I don't think in this moment I can count on the quarterback to be the steadfast and steady Eddie to guide you through the storm. Because he just told me that when the situation isn't great, he might well up and leave the team if he's not hearing what he wants to hear. It's not great. That's combustible. Now, if you start well, I think everything's going to be fine. But I'm nervous about the first 5 games of the season. If you go 0-2 against Alabama and Miami and you don't look good in the process of those 2 games, I think this thing takes a real turn for the worse. Now, it might not, though, because, again, you've got so much new that these guys didn't live through that last year. It's combustible. I think it could go either way, and I think the Alabama and the Miami games, the way they look, the way they're played, how competitive we are, will go a long way in either healing us or doubling the fractures that we've just mended.
I think it's a weird season in the sense that I think that you shouldn't use the Alabama game as a referendum on what's to come.
Agreed. I'm grouping it with Miami.
I know you are.
By that point, that's a humongous sample size.
Yeah, human nature, though. I mean, we watch how fans react, and they're usually extremes one way or the other. There aren't too many measured responses to wins and or losses. They're typically pretty fanatical, and not that there's anything wrong with that. That's part of being a fan. I do it with some of my teams too. I do it less so with Florida State because of the position we're in covering the team. But I think, I've gone through more possibilities in my head about this season than I have previous seasons. There haven't been too many times where I have this weird array of scenarios where I say, they might not, could get blown out by Alabama, might not have the talent to compete with Alabama. It could really come down to that. Might not be a coaching situation. Like, I worry about that. I legitimately worry that we're not athlete for athlete.
You think this is going to happen? You think Alabama's going to, yeah.
I think the spread's the spread for a reason, and I don't think it's a crazy spread. I mean, that's really a better way of saying it, because I'm not telling you they're going to be 38-7. Wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I'm not telling you that that's going to happen. I'm all right with the spread. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think Vegas is nuts. I don't think, 12.5, 13 seems about right to me. I think when you look at the stockpile of athlete that Alabama has compared to what Florida State has, wouldn't be that surprising. But it's all the other things. It's the first game of the year, quarterback's first start, new systems, home game for Florida State. It's a lot of things, right? So who knows? Maybe it's tied in the fourth quarter. I will allow for that legitimately. And that's not waffling. That's not fence sitting. That's like first games are weird. We know that. We've seen it play out with other teams. We know, for example, it's so much easier and more, it's a lot easier to be objective when you see two teams that you don't care anything about. You just know who they've been. And when you watch a game where you're like, Alabama versus Louisville a few years back was a good example. You know, you and I talking about that game, we're like, well, it'd be cool if Louisville hung around, but we kind of, it was pretty easy to just to assume some things, right?
Yeah.
What I care more about isn't the result of that game, surprisingly. A real sign of program health and stability and change and, I think possibility of good things to come is however you would respond to that. If you respond well to that and you get better over the next 2 weeks, not just because you're going to win those two games, but you see them work on things, get better. The team's not lost. They're focused. They're locked in. And then they go to Virginia on that Friday night and they hand them their ass. What a lot of people would do nationally and what a lot of fans would do in that situation, say, well, great, you beat Virginia, so what? We saw what you were against Alabama. But that's not the way we would need to look at that. That's not the way we would need to look at that at all. I think it would be a big deal for Florida State to respond to a loss like that, to go and throttle Virginia. That would show real growth, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons, which we'll get into at the time if it happens. But there is also, admittedly, the distinct possibility that they pull an upset and then who knows what they are, because you would use that motivation and parlay that and that success into something much greater than we could predict right now.
Yeah. And yes, that can help accelerate growth.
Yeah.
One win, one moment, one day can change everything. I mean, look, if Brian Kelly goes for 2 in 2022 and LSU wins the game, in the Superdome.
Yeah.
Is Mike still a head coach? I don't think so. Honestly. I don't think he's still head coach here because it crashed and burned and everything went right from that point on up to Jordan breaking his leg and then subsequently the snub. I don't know that he gets – I don't think he gets a $10 million extension in the offseason of 2023. I think that's probably a fair assumption. But these breaks do happen. These moments, Coach K getting another crack at it at Duke when he thought he was going to get fired. Dabo being called into the athletic director's office thinking that he was going to get handed a pink slip. Instead, they said, you get one more crack at it. It changes everything. And sometimes it's on the field, and sometimes it's in an AD's office that these things happen. It's just, for me, this is why I look all the way through the Miami game. I'm including the Virginia game. You're going to get a good sense of where their heart is by the time we complete the Miami football game. I
agree with that.
That's 5 games. It's almost half your season. At that point, we will know if Tommy's deal with Bill O'Brien was really that dude's insufferable, which I can buy, and it was less to do with Tommy than it was about Bill O'Brien, and that also this locker room is not last year's team, and whatever kids they brought in, the Deuce Robinsons of the world and Gavin Blackwell and Herring and Stephon Thompson, like all these guys help add up to something else. James Williams. You'll know. But I am afraid, because it's combustible, that if it starts a little wonky, I don't know what kind of core you have in place to be able to weather that and then respond the way you're talking about. I would be deeply concerned about the response because they proved last year they didn't have anything to respond.
Well, you'll get your clarity at that point that you've been seeking, because that'll make it a no-brainer. But I would, in your scenario, suggest that Tom, if you're 3-2 after the 5 games that you've looked at, the game 1 through the Miami game, that'd be 5 games, right?
Yeah. Pitt's game 6.
Yeah. And we're hosting that game. But I don't know that 3-2. I guess I have a hard time knowing what 3-2 means. 3-2 means you've surpassed last year's win total. Whoop-de-doo, right? How you play in those games will matter. But if both the games that you lose are to Alabama and Miami, I just think the temperature will be pretty lukewarm to cool around here. People will just go, okay, so we're just not a viable program that is of any consequence. That's and how would you argue otherwise?
Well, I think you would have enough to see whether or not it's a first quarter check and they're like, hey, are we in this today? If we're not, cool, we're done. If we are in it, then we're going to play to the end. Are they a team that fights to the final whistle in the fourth quarter every week and you love them and they came up a couple of plays short? Because that could happen too, where you lose close games to Alabama and Miami and you're furious about that, but it's not because of the lack of what they did.
Oh, buddy, I'll tell you now. Nobody wants to hear this. Based on the talent of the two teams, based on the projections of the two teams, if Florida State's 3-2 and they lose both the Alabama and Miami games, but they're, as you just described, they're close, hard fought, well played, I'll be over the moon. I'll be very pleased. Again, understanding that the long-term goal is not to be happy with close losses, especially at home, because both those games are at home. But knowing just how combustible this team might be coming into the season, I agree with the point you made. Knowing what last year was, knowing how important this season is, if I have ample evidence that they're close to the upper crust of college football, because I think Alabama and Miami were both going to be top 20, top 15 teams for the remainder of the year. So by definition, if you're within reach and play those two teams very well, I would find that buoying. I would be disappointed to be 3-2, but I would find that uplifting. I'd say that's we're getting there. We've taken a big step forward.
Well, it would mean also that what Coach Norvell has been trying to do, which is feel the pulse of the team more often and be a part of that process more than when he was the offensive coordinator and head coach.
Yeah.
It worked. Whatever he saw, whatever he thought he needed in terms of button pushing to do and execute, it's working because last year's team didn't have it in them. They're losing for a game and a half and they're done. They don't want to be there.
Right.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
that's insane.
An empty vessel. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they had no leadership. He lost the team, clearly the locker room. Coaches had to go. Lots of things were, at that point, fairly inevitable, frustrating to watch. Really,
bunch of faraway looks, everybody. The coaches, the players, the people in the stands that decide to show up, a bunch of faraway looks.
If you're looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, stress perhaps, the CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. And, you get the aches and pains when you're my age. Sometimes a little CBD gummy is the cure for you. A huge piece of wellness. If you've tried everything under the sun for peace of mind and ease of pain, perhaps Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies are for you, made to help you feel better, relieve stress. They use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. All products are third-party lab tested, USDA organic, to ensure safety and purity. Here's the deal. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites. A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Some men follow the crowd. Others take the long way, the wayward way. At thewaywardgent.com, we've curated the gear, gadgets, and grit every respectable man needs, from the fairway to the fire pit. We've identified the top-rated Amazon finds, so you don't have to. No fluff, just the good stuff. Visit thewaywardgent.com for the man who's not afraid to live a little off course. Thewaywardgent.com.
Pour
Man, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Man, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, 1 second it's air, water, air, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Man, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity to get straightened out.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Hawaii, no. If, in theory, hitting in practice will identify who you can trust in the game, so hopefully we will not need to bench anyone as the starters will have earned their way onto the field. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yep. Got to bring it every day when you have those, kind of practices. John writes, do you think Gus will scheme up any reverses, halfback passes, any other trickery against Alabama? It's funny, coaches are sort of loath to do that sort of thing, especially early in a season. It speaks to a level of desperation before the first snap has taken place where you don't believe you can line up and play the game without having to sandlot it. At the same time, the retort to something like that is you need to be a realist. And you need to do whatever you have to do to win football games. And if that means throwing the kitchen sink at Alabama because you conclude that they might have more talented players than you, then it's pragmatic. It's the right thing to do. I think you've got to find ways to injure. I don't think you're going to methodically move the football against Alabama. I don't believe that you're going to line up and methodically move the football. I think you're going to have to use, and almost by definition, this offense has a lot of trickeration in it.
It's part of Gus DNA. That's what I was going to say. This is 100% part of Gus Malzahn's DNA. And if you ask me to set the total in this situation for amount of gadget plays that we see, set an over-under for it. Initially, my number is 2.5, and I feel like it should be 3.5. Yes, there's going to be, at minimum, a couple of reverses. Yeah, gadget double passes, reverses, and it might just be that it ends up being an incomplete, play, and now it's 2nd and 10, and you're like, oh, you forget about it after the game's over.
Right.
But this is who Gus is. Let alone set aside for a second that you're operating at a deficiency in the trenches. Straight up, he would still do something like this. So 100%.
So the funny part is when you're really good, it'll piss you off that he's doing that.
Right. Yeah. Or if you have the momentum of the game, Think about a classic example in Florida State Boston College history. The 2014 game in the rain here against Boston College. Adazio calls a trick play late in the second half. Short circuits a drive. They were moving the ball just fine.
Who would you send to the ACC? Have we announced it yet? The SEC did. The SEC has announced who will be there next week for Alabama and the rest of the teams for that matter. Obviously, I'm not surprised that they're going to send Caden Proctor as the offensive lineman who's a junior who's projected to go in the first round. Deontay Lawson, a stud linebacker, is going for them. And they did not send the quarterback. I was kind of curious. I was looking into that. Like, who are you going to send? Well, you would understand not sending the quarterback if the quarterback battle wasn't over.
Right.
And I don't think it is over. I think that's an indicator that it's not over. So Tim Keenan III, the defensive lineman, who is gigantic, is the one who's going to go. So those are the three they're sending. I'm kind of curious who Florida State sends. We were talking about this yesterday on Headlines. You got to send Castellanos after all his bravado. He's your starting quarterback. I would think you would. I'm not saying you got to like it. I'm not saying you won't hold your breath, but he's the most high-profile acquisition of the offseason. He's the offensive centerpiece. He's either the reason you're going to fail or succeed to a large extent. So I would think you're going to send Castellanos.
Here's the sports information facial expression internally. They won't externalize this, but
oh yeah, no, that's from this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's it right there.
I think you send probably James Williams.
It's interesting. You're sending people that have never played it down for Florida State.
We will be sending a lot of those dudes on the field for the opening snap of the relative side of the ball.
Well, because the counter is like, well, if you want to send a veteran who's been here and seen success to go along with the failure, so somebody who would have perspective on the good and the bad and everything in between, the answer is Shaheem Brown, but he didn't do a damn thing last year and was fairly useless.
Yeah, also had an off-the-field problem that you want him answering questions about.
Right.
Off the field in a midseason suspension that came out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. You could ask Daryl Jackson, say, so Daryl, when you were ruled ineligible in a ridiculous ruling, what was it like to watch all that success on the sideline a couple of years ago?
You could send Daryl Jackson because I believe he's matured quite a bit, and he's obviously been here now, and he's a guy that you need to have, and I've said this time and again, I'll repeat it again today, he's a guy you have to have play really, really well. If you're going to have any success, he's got to play really, 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 really well. So, maybe you could if you sit down and have a good conversation with him.
He's been fine in interview settings. I think he would handle Radio Row and those responsibilities just fine. He's to the point, but he also is behemoth. And so, that's a good look for Florida State. If you're going to send Tommy, that's like the Altuve Aaron Judge photos that from second base in the ALCS a couple of years ago. You get a couple of photos of Tommy standing next to Daryl on the stage.
Oh my good God, man.
Oh my God, there's a little difference there.
Some of you have mentioned Omar Graham, and I will tell you, Omar Graham is a joy to talk to. He is a smart kid. He's reflective. He's introspective. He thinks about the questions being asked. I enjoy hearing from Omar. That wouldn't be a bad choice. I don't think you have to worry about anything. And by the way, he got a little better last year, and he's expected to get a little better this year.
You probably won't because he's so brand new to the program, but Jeremiah Wilson would light it up in that setting. He'd be great.
Well, he's one of your 10 best players projected as you brought in, and you thought, and he's accomplished a lot in the college game. I mean, he's had success. Yeah, you could imagine you send three guys that have never played for Florida State. That's just so weird. It's reflective of the modern era of college football, but it's also just like where we're at.
You send
Florida State, that is.
Chroma, Amari Williams, and the kicker, Weinberg. There you go. Enjoy your interviews, everybody.
That would be very, very strange. It's no brainer for LSU. They're sending Garrett Nussmeier, and he's a guy who projects to be a first-round draft pick. So you're going to send your quarterback. It's pretty easy. Most of the teams will. Like when you go through and look at everybody that's going, Gunnar Stockton's going for Georgia. Well, of course he is.
Garrett, do you feel like Coach Kelly is failing you the way he failed Jaden Daniels?
DJ Lagway's going for Florida. Jackson Arnold's going for Auburn, and Auburn fans went,
Are they sending Hugh Freeze? Send an interim head coach, please.
There's some frustration going on right there, isn't there? That's going to be – but John Mateer is going for Oklahoma. And by the way, that was one of the good acquisitions.
That's one program I'm actually worried about on the trail is Auburn, because it seems very clear that they're going to be making a change. When the new guy comes in, as announced in November, they are going to back up the Brinks truck to get flips here, there, and everywhere.
But, Tom, it's all been taken care of.
Oh, that's right, the 20.5.
Yeah. No, they won't be spending more than us or anybody else in college football. They're not allowed. Everything is being regulated.
One guy we didn't bring up and probably should have, just because it feels like he's been here forever, even though he hasn't. Deuce would be fantastic in that setting.
I brought him up yesterday, but he hasn't played a game for us. So it's, again, a situation where you're like, my man has yet to play for Florida State.
What does that matter, though? I
Because it's hard to reflect on what it means to be playing for Florida State if you've never played for Florida State. I'm not saying don't send him. I just think it's a really unique position that we're in. I mean,
it's about the 2025 season.
Yeah, I would. You're right. If you're just talking about a strategy, it's to not even talk about last year. And the quickest way to not talk about last year is to send 3 guys that weren't part of last year.
I wasn't here last year.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Those guys sucked. That's probably what Castellanos would say. But like, what do you do? I don't know. You would just if you send 3 guys that weren't here and they get asked about last year's 2-10 season, you say, well, I wasn't here. I don't know what the problems were last year. I've been really happy to be at Florida State. I like the coaching staff. I think we got a real good group here, and I feel good about the season. You would be deflecting all of those things, and I do think that is it's a legitimate strategy.
It's a smart way to do it. And then once Mike is asked about it, you say, I went down to Clearwater one weekend to this building. It had the logo flag on the side of it, and I went through this hypnotherapy, and I got to tell you, I don't remember a thing about last year, and I feel great because these kids are going to be good. Let me tell you about my future first-team All-American left tackle, Gunnar Hansen.
Wouldn't that be something, my man? Wouldn't that be something? By the way, bad news, Buccaneer fans, and I'm one of them, and so's the guy across from me, Tristan Wirfs, to miss the start of the season and more. Damn it, man, that's not nothing. That's massive. Likely out for the start of the season on the PUP list, which I always think is humiliating. Putting people on the physically unable to perform list is a bit much. Sources confirming to ESPN, PUP is for Wirfs, and obviously he's a Pro Bowl tackle, kind of important. Started 16 games last year despite being hurt. Sources seem to think he may miss the first 4
Well, if
this
it's PUP,
year.
that is 4. You're done for 4.
If he's on the PUP, it is. He had why are we having another arthroscopic surgery now? Like, so did this happen walking up the steps? Did this what happened?
No, it's been an injury that has been plaguing him
last year,
and he thought he could rehab and work through it.
Stop all that nonsense.
Well, he didn't, and so here we are.
It pisses me off when that happens. When you got a legitimate injury that needs to be repaired, don't give me the we'll see about. No, we're going to do it today. Today's the first day of the offseason. We're doing it today so that you're ready to go when the camp starts up in the fall. We're today.
So I believe we have the Jets and the Seahawks within the first 4 games. There you go. There's your 2-2, 3-1. They can win probably 3 out of the 4 games without him. That offense will light it up. You just run right with
I was going to say the offense is really good, partly because he's freaking in it.
Last year he was hobbled and he did miss a game outright. We weathered that storm.
By the way, that first week we play Atlanta at Atlanta. Probably not going to win that game without him. Pisses me off. Who do we got week 2? Did you already give us week 2? We've got. Are we hosting a game in week 2? So
we got the Texans.
We're at the Texans. We're going to lose that game. There you go. That's 2. Come on, Tristan.
We'll beat Atlanta. We'll be 1-0.
Pitch a Pity Pools and Spas have everything you need for pool maintenance, chemicals, cleaners, pumps, vacuums, nets, covers. You name it, they've got it. We know that, and you already do know if you've been over there, they've got the largest selection of premium hot springs, hot tubs in the entire city. You can easily finance them, by the way. They make it very easy to own one of these luxurious hot tubs. It's very affordable. If you have an older hot tub, they'll come, haul it away, put money, and give you money, I should say, towards the new hot tub, which is a great thing. And now they have the cold plunge tubs. There you go, those new cold plunge tubs that are available over there. Fitness Craze seems to have now scientific proof of its benefits. You go over, check these things out. You'll see those are also affordable and made by Hot Springs, which is the best name in the industry for the spas that you have purchased in the past, and now cold plunges to boot. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. If you're ready to relax, they're ready to show you how over there off of Greer Road. Go check out the inventory today. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance of thunderstorms. Daytime highs approaching 92, winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 75 tonight. Chance of thunderstorms. Chance for storms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 93. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123, or visit us online at metalroofing.sales.net.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
It's not just a drink, it's a vibe. Cool off all summer long with bold and beautiful cocktails from Café de Martín. Try the stunning berry champagne with flowers on top, a refreshing pineapple coconut margarita, and the all-new tamarindo sour, or our spicy cantarito. Available Tuesday through Friday for just $12.50. Take a trip to Peru this summer at Café de Martín in the Esposito Shopping Center. Online at cafedemartin.com.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different breeds, like different kinds.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
But I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Man, for this gig, you try to go through and read a lot of sports pages. It's dead time of year, admittedly, and that really gets hammered home when you do the sportspages.com search. By the way, did I tell you that I signed up for the newspapers.com?
What?
Yeah, I didn't tell you this.
Sounds like a scam.
It's not. Newspapers.com, if you pay a fee, allows you to access their vault of newspapers dating back to when newspapers started in this country.
Archives.
You read articles from the late 1800s, the mid 1800s. Yes.
That's cool.
Well, I'm obsessed. Like yesterday, I was reading Philip K. Wrigley to sponsor girls softball league, which turns into the baseball, which turns in,
All-American.
and I'm reading the story. Women's baseball league throws professional sports a curveball, and then you read that story, and then you go through and you find different topics from history. Then you go and I'm looking at the St. Pete Times from 1902 and looking at the articles there, like New Beach Community, Babe Ruth in 1924 buys condo. You're like, this is incredible. You know, like you just go down a rabbit hole. Also, the way people wrote back then, it's fascinating. There are things about it that you wish still existed. There are things you're like, oh, no.
Flippant language.
Yeah, you're just like, well, that's not the way that should be described, but okay. All right.
Like a good wife, she walked into the grocery store.
You're like, but you can go back and read whatever it is. It could be the Civil Rights era. It could be the end of the 20th century. It could be Native American history. It could be American Revolution. It could be anything. I mean, it's amazing. You go back and find articles from the papers that are battles and any number of things, like documentation of things that happened in World War I. And it's fascinating. I love it. But I warn you that if you get a subscription to this, you're done. You're looking up specific dates from your childhood. You're like, oh, yeah, do I remember that correctly? I feel like in 1984, in June is when da-da-da-da happened. And then you just type it in and you turn in the search bar. And the next thing you know, you'll get the entire St. Pete Times from 1984, June the 3rd, whatever. And then you want to read the specific. You're like, no, I must have been wrong about that. And then you click, you go through all.
Do you see the visuals of the?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, you can find a photo of me. We'll look it up one day. 1995, I was doing Christmas ornament sales for my elementary school.
I could find it easily. Well, it's not always easy, but yeah, go ahead.
It was me and Michael Talhook. I know exactly. It was a photo of the two of us. I was the business manager for it. Was a third grade business project.
Yeah.
And it was me and him with a photo, and we're in front of like gingerbread men ornaments that we're selling. Yeah.
Where are you located? Where is this at? Are you in front of Publix? Or are you in front of?
No, they came to our school. They came
okay.
It's in Clearwater. So I give you the name of the elementary school. I'll give you.
So you have to have certain specifics. It's true. Like it's not. Otherwise, you are needle in a haystack in it a little bit. Where you're that would help. Name of the school, the people in the picture who are named,
it would
that
be
kind of a thing.
1995.
Right.
I can tell you that.
Yeah. And you know specifically where you were when it happened because you saw the paper.
Yeah, I lost it, but I'd love to see that photo again.
So my buddy Chris Sturgeon and his brother Scott Sturgeon their dad lived in Kansas City. Their mom and dad were divorced. I don't know if you need to divulge all this, but their parents were divorced, and Chris and Scott were my friends in St. Petersburg, and they would go back in the summertime to Kansas City to see their dad, visitation, right? They caught a home run at a Royals game at Kauffman Stadium, and it's a great picture in the Kansas City Star, I think it is, and it's like Chris making the catch, his brother going like this in awe, and this woman behind him with popcorn and a hot dog flying everywhere. And they were on the front of the sports page. And I went and looked at it. I found it. I remembered that from being in his room in 1985 or something like that. I remember that picture thinking it was cool. And I just started searching and I found it. It took me an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half I could have got back in my life searching for somebody I haven't talked to in years and years and years. But I found the sports page. It's nuts. That wasn't the point of this. That's just an aside. Really like that stuff. Looking at headlines, there are some crazy things. Just one of the things that I do marvel at, I don't know how the hell anybody read anything in like Theodore Roosevelt's time. How did anybody read anything? And what I mean is they weren't illiterate. If you go back and look at the print, it's tiny. It's tiny even for the greatest eyesight wielding individual on earth. It's like there's 4,000 articles and they're all in this paper and they kind of they're not separated enough, and you're just like, what? I can't even see that.
Magnifying glasses was a business,
a big one. I would imagine a really big one
right over the paper.
You would have to. I'm doing that in my computer at home these days. Like, what? Control plus over and over again. I can't see
you must
this.
Be using the PC tablet.
Well, my wife's. If I'm on my Apple, it's different. But yeah,
Command
plus. Right. No, it's amazing. Why do I bring any of this up? I was reading the sports section a moment ago, and it occurred to me that headline writers don't do a very good job of. You need people, I think, to say, "Oh, I don't know that we need to do that." That doesn't seem the right headline. There's a headline. I won't tell you for what paper or whatever.
Is this the Jeremy Lin thing?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Did something happen? I don't remember the Jeremy. I was flipping through sports sections, and they're previewing things that are happening in the various cities that I'm looking for that upcoming weekend. Like we're at the midweek point, and they'll say, 7-on-7 tournament, basketball, whatever it might be. Look at this headline: all-girl action this Saturday on the PF.
You're applying sensibilities that the editor didn't even know existed.
That editor's probably 71.
What?
What do you
mean?
Bob, I don't think we should have a headline that reads all girl action this Saturday on such and such beach. That's just not, you're not going to get the desired response or crowd that you're expecting to get. But it is. It's an all girl league. It's all girl act. Again, Bob. That was the headline I read during the break. And somebody might say, well, what were you looking at during the break? Headlines from newspapers, sports sections. That's specifically what I was looking at. And I saw all girl action sports. And I went, okay.
In a much cleaner world, last week, I had to play around with a title for the Ernest Rankins article, editing the Ernest Rankins article, because if you list him he's a top 50 player, but he's a defensive lineman. So if I put top 50 defensive lineman, it sounds like we got the 47th best defensive lineman, which would not be a good player relative to a top 50 prospect who is a defensive lineman. So I was playing around with syntax with that. Not quite the same problem as our guy here with the girls tournament of some kind that was being held. In what town?
Oh, glory.
Where
it was in Virginia. By the way, P. Simpson, you're not far from the truth. Reading obituaries for people who died in various animal attacks. Yes, and it was frequent when you find these papers that are documenting things in rural towns, and you're like, there wasn't a lot out there. If you had a run-in with the wrong sort of animal out there on the farm, you're in deep trouble, buddy. Yeah, it is a fun exercise, but in particular, sports. Reading the articles of the most famous sports heroes in history or, legends of a certain sport in time. Boxing was really big, obviously, in the early 1900s. And you're going back and looking at the way certain articles were written about, and I like boxing. I like boxing's history. So I will look at, whether it's Jack Johnson or whoever, you're going through and looking at the history of the way people wrote about the heavyweight championship fights. And a lot of the writing is unreal. It's a real talent, right? It's some of the best sports writing. The boxing lends itself to that kind of writing, by the way, because of what it requires of the combatants. But you read those stories, and you're like, oh, nobody writes like that anymore. I mean, this is like a 3-page story on this fight, and and something about these two men. Their heart, their tragedy, their goals, their life story. It's awesome. And then you start, one of the things that I've been doing lately with this subscription is looking at the emergence of the NFL and the way it's written about before the merger and the way it's written about after the merger. And, for me, my memories go as far back as 76, 77. Or the earliest memories I have of watching NFL football is around that time. Now, there's older people listening to this going, oh, you're young. But if you're obviously younger than 50, you might be like, whoa. But yeah, I'm going back looking at the 77, 78, 79, 80 seasons, then the Cowboys and Steelers and all those matchups and just those players and the way that they were written about. And then where the league, you could just see the way the league begins to take over eventually as you get into the 90s. And it's fascinating to see the way sports was covered then, the way sports is covered now. I think our modern athletes are done somewhat of a disservice in some ways, but also propped up in ways they never would have been back then because of, obviously now we have a 24-hour day news cycle and you've got outlets that are in the need to fill every second of every day. So you really see profiles of people that would have never been featured from back then, but also the pressure that comes with that. It's a fascinating sort of thing to do in the off season. Let's put it that way. College football too.
So how many hours a day are you reading newspapers.com? 2 to 3. That's what I hear there. 2 to 3.
Well, I've gone down a rabbit hole since I pulled the trigger on it, but I'm sure I'm at some point going to bore with that. It'll be much more interesting to do it from the history side of things. not meaning sports, meaning like politics and like the development of towns and
sure,
not in I would say like discoveries, exploration,
about the space race,
space race thing, like that. Yeah.
What about what the cosmonauts were doing? Sputnik. Ooh, how about some Sputnik columns?
Well, like
this
the
is
Cuban
the end
Missile.
this is the end of American exceptionalism. Here you go.
Well, yeah, or like reading, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the stuff in the papers then, like imagining people in their over their morning coffee reading this stuff, going, "This is problematic."
Yeah. Is this the last St. Petersburg Times edition I'll ever read?
Yeah, no, where you could see when you're reading that stuff, where you're going, "Whoa, that would have been very, very heavy, very like." Shake you up on your way to work kind of heavy, not just like, I really hate the situation we find ourselves in.
All right. You just have a belt of scotch as you're driving your way into the office. Fix your tie, one more pull, and then here we go. We park the car and we're off and running. It's another day.
Well, I took us down a track, but next hour, coming up next, it's about 35, 40 minutes of me and David Hale talking football, college football, the ACC, and Florida State for that matter. Stick around for that. Good stuff. David's always great. We go way back, and he does a good job of covering the league. We're going to talk about it right here, right now. It's in the bonus hour, which is forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Trident